I'm showing you my name.
That's what you're doing? I'm gonna call to order the Dumfries Town Council meeting of Tuesday, October the 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilman Brown,
Present.
Councilman Fields,
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Miles,
Present.
Councilwoman Peterson,
Here.
Councilman Pete,
Here.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Present.
Sir, you have a quorum.
All right. We'll have a silent moment of prayer. Amen. Please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Council, I'm going to request that we remove item E, which is an introduction of our new Dumfries police officers. Our chief is out sick today, so we'll remove that from the agenda. Also want to take and move item number C in the reports and presentation, our strategic plan, down to an action item. And so we can make that action item letter E, A, B, C, D, E. We'll move this down to E so that we can take action on it today. And on item A in our action plan, item A on our action, our public hearing authorizing the general obligation bonds. We're going to update the bond rating because the rates have changed since last week, since we published this. So the rates have changed a little bit. The market is volatile. And so I think they'll bring up when they do their presentation a copy. Do you already have a copy of it? Okay. They're changing the rate. So we're just changing the rate on letter A. It's been a rate change. All right. Council, is there any other changes or amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I welcome to a motion to adopt it with those amendments.
Move.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the question. Councilman Fields? Yes. Councilwoman Peterson?
Aye.
Councilman Pete?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. That motion carries 7-0. All right, so first on our agenda is awards and proclamations. So we will have a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Whereas breast cancer is a disease that affects millions of individuals and their families, causing physical and emotional challenges that demand our attention and support. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is observed annually in October, providing an opportunity for individuals, communities, and organizations to come together to raise awareness, promote early detection, and support those affected by breast cancer. And whereas the importance of early detection through regular breast cancer screenings, such as mammograms and clinical breast exams, cannot be overstated, as it significantly increases the chances of successful treatment and survival. And whereas research and advances in medical science continue to improve our understanding of breast cancer and its treatment, giving hope to those affected by the disease. And whereas breast cancer is the second most common cancer in women, and African-American women have a 40% mortality rate, which is the highest of any United States race or ethnic group. And whereas it is our duty to honor and remember those who have lost their lives to breast cancer, to support those currently battling the disease, and celebrate the survivors who inspire us with their courage and resilience. And whereas raising awareness about breast cancer and promoting education on risk factors, prevention, and available resources can save lives. And whereas Dr. Vanessa Gaddis, a survivor of breast cancer, is living proof that there is hope after diagnosis. Now, therefore, the Dumfries Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We call upon all individuals, businesses, healthcare providers, and community organizations to join in raising awareness, supporting those affected by breast cancer, and promoting early detection. Let us unite in the fight against breast cancer, working together to ensure all individuals have access to the information and resources they need to protect their health and well-being. By order of the Town Council, Derek R. Wood, Mayor, October 17th, 2023. I'd like to ask Dr. Vanessa Gaddis to come up and receive this proclamation as my friend and a breast cancer survivor.
Hi, good evening, and thank you, Town Council, for your recognition. So I am a 17-year survivor of breast cancer. I was diagnosed at the age of 35. And where most people tell, or doctors tell women to not get screened until age 50, really. But now it's earlier because there are more younger folks that are getting diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I was glad they caught it in time. I am a, again, survivor, 17 years. And I was in phase 2 when it was caught, but I'm grateful and thankful to God that I'm still here. I had 2 young kids when I was diagnosed. So of course, having kids that young and doctors telling you that you have breast cancer is a shock. But we can beat it. And so I encourage every woman and even men to go get screened because early detection will save your life. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
Next on our agenda is a Cybersecurity Awareness Month proclamation. It says, whereas the town of Dumfries recognized the critical importance of cybersecurity in safeguarding our community's digital infrastructure, personal information, and sensitive data. And whereas the proliferation of digital technology and the internet has led to increased connectivity and convenience, but has also exposed individuals, organizations, and governments to cyber threats, which can result in financial loss, privacy breaches, and significant disruptions. And whereas the town of Dumfries is committed to promoting a culture of cybersecurity awareness among its residents, businesses, and employees to enhance the overall cybersecurity posture of our community. And whereas October is recognized nationally as Cyber Security Awareness Month, providing an opportunity for individuals and organizations to come together to raise awareness about cybersecurity and educate our community about the importance of cyber hygiene, threat prevention, and incident response. Whereas TSI was founded in 2010 by Mark as a complete technology solutions provider that understands cybersecurity risk and best practices. They apply industry-leading tools to monitor the security posture of network and data center to protect and screen for and detect security-related events. And whereas TSI hosted its 4th annual cybersecurity event, Defending the Cyber World, Countering AI-Powered Threats on October the 11th, 2023, where experts and enthusiasts came together to discuss the latest trends and challenges in the cyber realm. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dumfries Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month in the town of Dumfries and urge all residents, businesses, schools, organizations to join this observation. I encourage you to participate in educational activities, to engage in cybersecurity training, and to take proactive steps to secure your digital presence. Let us work together to create a safer, more secure digital environment for our community and future generations. By order of the Town Council, Derek R. Wood, Mayor.
Hello, everyone. I'm William Burke, the Chief Information Security Officer at TSI. So first off, I want to say a massive thank you to Mayor Wood and the Town Council of Dumfries for proclaiming October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I might be a bit biased, but Cybersecurity Awareness Month is my favorite of all months now, mainly because it serves as a great reminder to everybody about implementing the cybersecurity awareness practices. So for example, you might be laying back in bed, unable to sleep, thinking about multi-factor authentication, as I'm sure we all tend to do. And this might serve as that great reminder to actually implement the MFA to protect your email. And in doing so, that could actually stop the bad guy from accessing your real world personal data. Similarly, you might have some fantastic, I'm sure, cybersecurity awareness training that you'll be attending. And maybe that'll be the reminder that as you're going through your emails, when you see that odd, suspicious link, that hold on, maybe I shouldn't click this. Maybe I'll even go that extra step and report it up to the security team. And that action could be what actually prevents the next ransomware attack from hitting your organization. So cybersecurity awareness is incredibly important, not just for us or for you, but for our organizations and for us as a whole and as a community. So that said, thank you very much for the proclamation. I'm excited about it. And cheers everyone to a very cyber secure October. Thank you.
Thank you. This is truly a great reminder because I think we have had some very conspicuous emails, and I think even a hack in our Zoom, one of our Zoom meetings. So it was very interesting. This is a great reminder. Next on the agenda is a Community Cleanup Month proclamation. It says, whereas the town of Dumfries takes pride in the beauty and the cleanliness of our community, and whereas maintaining a clean and litter-free environment contributes to the overall well-being, health, and safety of our residents, and whereas a clean community promotes civic pride, economic development, and a sense of community amongst our residents. Whereas the town of Dumfries recognizes the importance of environmental stewardship and the preservation of our natural resources. And whereas the Prince William Clean Community Council, which was organized in 1982 as a spring cleanup effort, and in 2012, Prince William County Cleanup Council became Keep Prince William Beautiful. And whereas Keep Prince William Beautiful has partnered with the town of Dumfries to offer a fall and spring cleanup, which we have one this Saturday, to promote sustainability practices and reduce the environmental impact of litter and pollution in the town of Dumfries. And whereas the town of Dumfries believes that active participation by residents and volunteers in our community cleanup efforts can make significant differences in the appearance and the quality of life in our town. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of Dumfries do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Community Cleanup Month in the town of Dumfries. We call upon all residents, businesses, community organizations, and schools to join together with Keep Prince William Beautiful and the Dumfries Public Works Department in making a concentrated effort to clean up our town during this month. Let us take pride in our community. Let us continue to work together to reduce litter, to improve our environment, and enhance the quality of life for all. Throughout this month, we encourage residents to organize their own cleanup events, to participate in recycling initiatives, and to take proactive steps to maintain a litter-free and beautiful community. By order of the council, signed, Mayor Derek R. Wood.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, council, for allowing us to be here and, of course, for this proclamation. My name is Rico Fleshman. I am the Executive Director of Keep Prince William Beautiful, Chair of the Prince William County Green Business Council, and I also sit on the Superintendent's Advisory Committee for Sustainability for Prince William County Schools. And those are a lot of fancy titles to just say that I like to take care of the environment and I like to clean up. We're here, as always, in support of the town of Dumfries. And like Mayor Wood said, we have the cleanup this coming Saturday here, but we do it several times a year. And like I said, we support Dumfries and their cleanup efforts to make this a place that you come to and not come through. And we do that by recognizing the need to keep the environment clean, to keep the cities clean and safe. And then, of course, I want to applaud the Dumfries for installing the public artwork on the bus shelters, if you've seen those around. And we support projects like that because they do make a difference in a place and make a place more cleaner and greener. So thank you all.
Thank you for all you do. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our October 3rd, 2023 meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes? Yes.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Second. And second, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Pete?
Yes.
Councilman Brown? Aye. Councilman Fields?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
That's a yes for me. That motion carries 7-0. Next on our agenda is citizen comment period. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up for citizen comment period?
Yes, sir. Ms. Shay Wims would like to speak in regards to the Veterans Fair.
Say when, please come to the mic and just give us the name of your organization, and you will have 3 minutes and the clerk will keep the time.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council. My name is Shay Weems. I am representing the Improved Benevolent Protective Order of Elks of the World. We have partnered with the town of Dumfries / the mayor and having a Veterans Information Resource Fair. I am the grant directress for the Veterans Affairs Department for our organization. I am also an Army veteran. So what we're trying to do here, this information fair will have individuals helping with claims, benefits, resources for caregivers and things of that nature. We ask that you come out. It will be held on October the 28th, which is next Saturday. It will be from 10 till 3 at the old firehouse. So please come out. So if you have any concerns or issues about your benefits or claims, or you know a veteran, please have them come out. We will have VSOs, which are Veteran Service Officers, to help individuals with their claims or benefit informations and things of that nature, so that the veterans can get what's due. There's a lot of veterans that are not getting approved and low percentage for disabilities, and we want to change that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is anyone else signed up to speak to?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone come in late that wanted the opportunity to speak? Okay, yes.
So I know that we generally don't respond during citizen comment time, but I just wanted to clarify the location. Is this the Clyde Washington Center?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda, or we move into reports and presentations. So the first report is the Boys and Girls Club presentation. We'll have Ms. Judy Moore, the branch director of the General Heiser branch here in the town of Dumfries. Ms. Judy, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and present what we as the Boys and Girls Club here in Dumfries are doing for the community. I'm going to ask that you guys bear with me. I am recovering about a month out after having some really severe asthma and sinus stuff. So if I start coughing, I apologize now. But this, if you look at the slides here, This is our mission statement. The General Heiser Club here in Dumfries, we are part of the the Greater Washington organization. And so the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington mission is to help boys and girls of all backgrounds, especially those who need us most, build confidence, develop character, and acquire the skills needed to become productive, civic-minded, responsible adults. Next slide. And we do this through 5 key areas. These are called our BGCGW 5 key elements. We want to create a safe, positive environment for our members. We want to generate fun and foster a sense of belonging. We encourage supportive relationships with their peers and with adults. We provide opportunities and we set expectations for our members. And then we offer recognition for positive behavior. This is our formula for impact. And it reads, left to right. So we are serving young people who need us most. And if you add to the young people who need us most, an outcome-driven club experience, which includes the 5 key elements, plus high-yield learning activities, targeted programs, and regular attendance. If the kids are doing that, then the outcome is going to be academic success, good character and leadership, and healthy lifestyles. And those are the core areas that we emphasize in our programming and when we're working with our members. These are some results of demonstrating the positive impact. This page is actually one that was sent over. And the numbers here, I'm sorry to say, reflect from Prince George's County in Maryland and not the Prince William County. If you do want, I can get the Prince William County ones, but I just noticed today as I was reviewing that this was Prince George's. But basically, what we're doing, everything is still the same. What we need, so there's young people who are not completing high school. What we do then is we provide tutoring, mentoring, and other opportunities to help kids succeed in school. And then the impact is a higher graduation rate. We need, so the need is high school youth need to be involved in physical. So there's been physical fights in the schools. So what we do is we have programs such as Torch Club, Street Smarts, and members are given the opportunity to demonstrate positive impact youth can have in their community. So we're teaching kids how to respond to negative behaviors and, to change things for the better. And then the need for healthy lifestyles is, the number of children that are overweight or lead sedentary lifestyles has increased over the years. So we provide, we have a full-size gym. So we provide, gym activities every day. We keep the kids active, along with the academic programming and the character and leadership development. We do also do physical activities where they're in the gym. We offer sports leagues. One thing that we've brought in this year and the kids are really enjoying is we've started playing pickleball. So I was really surprised at how well the kids have taken to it, but they'll get out there and, we've got 3 nets that we can, or courts that we can set up in our gym, and the kids will go out there and play and have a good time. And then what we do well. So some of the things that we do well is we support education, leadership and service. We have a Torch Club at our club, which is a middle school community service club, and the kids there, they come up with their own projects, they fundraise for projects, and then they go out and serve in different ways in the community. We offer arts. We have a group of kids that are going to another club Thursday afternoon to see a production from, my mind just went blank. It's an African dance group that's going to be there. And so they're going to go see that. And then Friday, some of the kids will go back and be able to learn some of those African dance moves and such. The other thing is in November, we're taking a group of kids to the Hilton Performing Arts Center to see a ballet. So we'll have, last year we did this. We took 10 girls, we took them out for dinner, and then we went and saw a ballet. So we'll be doing the same thing this year, next month. We do healthy lifestyles and wellness. We do yoga with the kids. They are making nutritional snacks that they can make at the club, but then it's using things that typically they would have in their home that they can make at home easily also. And then, of course, sports and recreation. And then our targeted programs are Career Launch. This prepares teens for our nation's workforce. Diplomas to Degrees, that's a college readiness program. Smart Moves helps young people build the social and emotional skills to make healthy decisions and avoid risky behaviors. Money Matters, which helps youth expand their knowledge of money management. Youth of the Year, this is a role model, leader, and advocate of over 3.6 million youth served by Boys and Girls Club each year and all of America's young people. So the kids compete with this program at the club level, and then they go up to the organizational, and then the state and a regional. And the last one is the goal is to be the National Youth of the Year. The 2022 National Youth of the Year came from one of our clubs in Greater Washington. The last 2 years, this year, and then the last 2 years, a member of one of our clubs has won the Regional Youth of the Year. So they're competing against states in the Southeast region, which is where we're a part of. So as you win at each level, you're getting scholarship opportunities, but it opens doors for so much more than just scholarship. But, people, my daughter was Youth of the Year in 2016, but I still run into people who ask how she's doing, what she's doing, if she needs a door open someplace. So there's if you take on that responsibility, and it is a big responsibility, it's not something that's given out lightly. There's speeches, there's essays that have to be written, references from schools, just a whole lot goes into becoming Youth of the Year. We also offer STEM programming, so STEM advanced, STEM knowledge, and increased interest in STEM-related careers. Triple Play is a program that improves the overall health of members by increasing their daily physical activity. And then Power Hour, which is a program that increases academic success to better prepare the club youth to enter the workforce and higher education institutions. Just some numbers for the club here in Dumfries. So our membership year runs from September 1 through August 31. So this is the number for this year right now. We've been 6 weeks. We're 6 weeks into our membership year. We have 221 members. 49 of those members are teens. Our average daily attendance is 75 kids a day, with 6 of those being teens. Our ADA, which is the average daily attendance. So at this point in 2022, we were averaging 55 kids a day, with 7 of them being teens. We are currently at 76 with 9 of them being teens. We do get funding from the town. And that, so we were able to scholarship over 20 slots of summer camp to town kids this past summer. We have 28 members at our club who their memberships are paid for through the funding from the town. And then we were also able to scholarship for basketball league spots to town kids. This past summer, we served over 130 kids in our summer camp. We currently have 65 youth enrolled in our before and after school program. Some of the upcoming events that we have are, we will be doing a trunk or treat on October 31st in our parking lot. Sports are already in progress. Basketball and volleyball have kicked off. I mentioned we've introduced pickleball to our members, and then we'll be taking kids to the ballet next month. Any questions?
Councilman Pete? Yeah, oh, you were good. Okay. Chair Pro Tem?
Okay, thank you so much, Judy.
Okay.
Thank you for all the work that you do with our young people. And, you know, you're just really dedicated. So year after year, you've just really put your best foot forward. And you've really touched a lot. So we definitely appreciate that. You did give us a breakdown of some numbers in terms of attendance, in terms of how many scholarships you've been able to award.
Mhm.
I do have a question about the slide that you said was from PG County. Is there any way to tell her that? I know you said you can get us numbers for Prince William.
Yes, I
Is there
will.
any way to tell her that even more fine tuned down to the Dumfries number?
I will see what I can do.
Okay,
Okay?
Alright.
Thank you.
I think you have. Hang on.
Councilman Pete? Oh, sorry.
How you doing, Miss Judy?
I'm good.
As some of you may know, me and Miss Judy and I have dealt with each other for several years here. But one of the questions, doing a real quick follow-up from our previous meeting, and you did bring the numbers, but my bridging gap of wanting to know, do we know who these children are that are coming from the town? Or are we just a number?
No, I know who the kids are that are
Do the
coming.
town know?
Does the town know? I have not
Oh,
provided
yeah.
that.
Is there a way that the town manager, is there a way we can get with the director of the Boys and Girls Club, Ms. Judy Moore, and get a tally of who our children are that are being represented from the town of Dumfries?
Mr. Mayor, if I might just interject there.
Yes.
I appreciate what Councilman Pete is asking. I think we should confer with Miss Judy and the Boys and Girls Club as to whether it's appropriate to provide the names, and with that caveat.
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Agree.
Yeah, and that's what I was I would want to make sure that the parents are and guardians are okay with that.
Right.
us
'cause I
sharing that
you know, I
information.
like to acknowledge those kids here also. Thank
Okay.
you. That's all.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Miss Judy, for being here this evening. I actually have a few questions and a comment. I'll start with my comment. As a parent of a child who attends the Boys and Girls Club, I am not okay with you knowing that. The Torch Club is an excellent program.
Mhm.
I like what it represents. I like the skills that it is teaching the children. I know that it's teaching the children leadership skills, public speaking, community service. I really like what it's doing. I know, however, that it is working very specifically with a subset of children.
Mhm.
I'm very interested in the fact that those skills, though they're honed in for that subset of children, based on what you're saying here, those skills are also taught and
Yes.
shared throughout the club.
Yes.
But
that's
I do like that it's honed in very concentrated to that subset of children.
Mhm.
My question is, though, regarding the academic success, what exactly are you all doing to support the academic success? And I ask that question because I'm struggling to pinpoint when you all are doing like homework,
So
tutoring and after hours, things like that, because aside from torch program,
Mhm.
it seems like, game time and playtime, and I'm not really seeing the concentration on you get off the bus, a focus on getting homework
Right.
done, quiet time and things like that. And I think that's very important.
So typically, because we've got people out driving buses, part of our staff, so homework does not start until all of the staff are in the building. So up until that point, some of the kids are in the gym, some of the kids are in the game room doing high yield, activities or, interacting with their peers. And then once everyone gets in and we've got all of the staff, then the groups are broken up into their individual assigned groups. I do believe that the middle school kids, if their main staff person is there, then they're doing home when they come in. That's when they might get a half hour in the gym, then they're going into the teen room and working on homework. A lot of the kids don't have homework or say that they don't have homework, but our power hour is not necessarily just for homework. It is, if your child does not have homework, then there should be a writing day, a math day, another, enrichment day. It happens 4 days a week. Fridays, there's no power hour, but it's other high yield activities or things that they can do that will be stimulating them academically.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, what are some of the other organizations or nonprofits that you all work with in the community to help bolster your mission?
So we are working currently with the AKAs. They've come in, they're coming in, they're doing some cleanup and some projects around the building, but they're also helping to get us some volunteers to run our Smart Girls program this year and our Passport to Manhood program. So that's the main other group that we're working with right now. And then we have other volunteers just from the community who come in, but we don't. And then we do work with the public library. So they come once a month, bring books and come and do a craft activity based on a book that they read to the kids. And that's for our kindergarten, first grade level.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Miss Judy. I
You're
think last time I was at Boys and Girls Club, we played table tennis and you didn't have a good time.
Oh.
Just throwing that out there.
Okay. Guess I need to brush up on my skills.
So I echo Vice Mayor. I don't think that we need any names. I think what would be probably better is for the count, the number of children that are in the town of Dumfries that come to the facility.
Mhm.
And on top of that, since we are doing scholarships and we are funding, is the town scholarship supporting those kids?
Yes,
We want
that's
to
what
know the.
that number is for town kids. And before I will issue a scholarship, I do ask for proof of residency. So the parents do have to provide that. And then I've got the list of streets that are in the incorporated town, and it has to be one of those streets.
Thank you. And additionally, the majority of the kids, are they getting there by some form of public transportation or parents dropping them off?
So it's a combination. We've got 3 county buses that come to us. And so some of the kids are riding county school buses and then coming. And those kids are coming in on their annual membership fee. And then we've got some kids who their parents are bringing them. And then we've got kids who we pick up in our own vehicles. And those are the kids that are enrolled in the daycare program. Once they get to the club, everybody's together. We don't keep daycare separate from members. Everybody's just gelled together. But we do pick up from a half a dozen different schools in this area.
Okay. Lastly, I know that you're part of the Greater Boys and Girls Club. If there was donation to your center, does that money go into the the bigger part, or do you use it specifically for?
No, it's used, if, as long as it's earmarked for us, then it stays with us.
Okay, thank you.
Couple questions. Your capital projects that you're working on, can you give us an update? How is the roof coming on?
The roof is finished.
Okay.
So, and our
What was-
facilities team has been in, replaced most of the ceiling tiles that need to be replaced where we had leaks. And the roof has been done like 2 or 3 weeks now.
How much was that total project?
I know for all 3 clubs, I can give you a price. For my club by itself, I'm not sure what the price for just our club was, because they lumped them all together and worked on all 3 clubs in Prince William County.
350, and then it was a matching grant.
It was, I'm thinking the total price was like 800
Yeah, it was, okay.
for the 3 clubs. We were in desperate need of ours being done. My utility closet was a corrugated metal roof, and parts of it had rusted through, and I wasn't able to use that storage space because every time it rained, everything got wet. It's funny, when they were working on it, the whole thing just caved in, and it was like, oh, we have a skylight now. But they were able to put the roof, get that totally covered again that same day. They came in and cleaned up all the mess, that happened because it got, was caved in. So they redid the entire roof, and we have all new gutters.
Okay. Are there any outstanding projects that the club is in need of and that they're not?
So we're always in need of, it would be nice if we can get the upstairs painted. The downstairs was painted within the last couple years. The gym is good because I've had that renovation done. It was about 4 years ago that one was done. But the upstairs could use a fresh coat of paint. I know we're working with, and I have an appointment scheduled next week with Habitat for Humanity. They're going to come in. We're going to look at some projects for them to do. We've got ballasts that need to be replaced in the building. Most of it is not major stuff that needs to be done. It's minor stuff, but it's still, there's enough there that it can't all be, it's not all going to happen tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for that update. One more, Councilman Pete. Sorry.
Okay, for clarity, this may be something for Ms. Pandek. Is it okay if the council recognizes the town citizens that are attending the Boys and Girls Club as a whole?
If you're just saying a general recognition without any names, certainly that's fine. I think the concern is that we're dealing with minors, and of course there's specific permission given. Their privacy and their family's privacy should not be interfered with.
Okay, thank you. Because I would like for this council to recognize those children that are coming from this town, that we're giving out thousands of dollars to support those children. And I would like to recognize those children as a council, if that's okay with council.
Thank you, Ms. Judy, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next on our agenda is our Davenport Public Finance presentation from Mr. Ben Wilson, the Vice President of Davenport Public Finance. Mr. Wilson, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I'm here to talk to you about the general obligation issuance that the town is considering. We've been working with town staff for about a month and a half now on this. And this short presentation that we have for you just gives you an overview of what we've done so far. You all have a public hearing this evening where you'll consider an ordinance that's related to this borrowing. Jesse Bausch from Sands Anderson is also here. He's bond counsel to the town in case you have any questions specific to the documents themselves. So if we can look at the presentation that you should have in front of you, I think they're going to pull up on the screen, but I think we can probably get started. If we flip to page 2, again, this just gives an overview of what we've done so far. Town staff came to us with with a need for the town of a little over about $6.5 million of projects that are needed to be funded with things other than cash, so that you aren't using all of your cash balance to fund these projects. Because of the purposes of those projects, it had to be split into two separate series, one of them being tax exempt, and that tax exempt note, which we've called the 2023A, is for various projects, but including but not limited to land and some vehicles. The taxable portion of this, we call the 2023B. That one will settle an existing lawsuit. Again, so you aren't dipping into your cash balances too much. Now, what we requested when we sent this out to banks was a 5-year note. So you all would be paying only interest during that 5-year period, and then the full principal amount would be due at the end. And the reason we were hoping to do that is we know that you all have some development going on in the town, and you're expecting some revenues in the next year or two. And we would like to see how that pans out before making any long-term decisions on what to do with these projects. So this will give the town the flexibility to fund these projects and this lawsuit right now, but also be able to make a decision in a year or two on what to do long-term with this funding. So Davenport, we serve as financial advisor to the town, and that means we work on your behalf. We're not going out and trying to sell this to anyone. We send this out to a long list of banks that we've worked with, of over 100 banks that are national, they're regional, but also the local folks. And if you flip to page 2, and actually I'll ask you to look at that insert that was provided to you. There should be a separate page that looks exactly the same, but it's not in that book. Because we got 2 proposals, one of them from Capital One and the other from M&T Bank. And M&T Bank is actually the town's, that's where the town's money is held. So M&T Bank is very familiar with the town, and they would like to fund this for you all. In the bottom section of this, you can see the proposed interest rates that we received for the 2023A and 2023B notes. As you can see, the Capital One 2023A interest rate was lower than the M&T Bank, and the M&T Bank 2023B rate was lower than Capital One's. And we've shown here the annual cost to the town. So again, you're only going to be paying interest up through the final maturity of this, or until it's paid off or funded long-term in the next couple of years. And you can see what those annual costs are. Now, the reason we have this insert is, as I'm sure you're all aware, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And M&T Bank was not willing to lock in that rate a week and a half ago when we received these proposals. So their rates have been floating with the market a little bit. And on the right side there, those are actually interest rates that we received from them this afternoon. So this takes into account all that's happened over the last week and a half. They are a little bit higher than what you are looking at in your agenda packet that you have already. But again, in the grand scheme of things, you all are only going to be paying interest on this. And the expectation is that it will only be outstanding for a few years, not the full 5-year term. And really what the M&T Bank proposal provides that the Capital One proposal does not is that you can pay off the M&T Bank loan at any time. There's no penalty. If you decided the day after it closed that you had the cash on hand to pay it off, you'd be able to do that. Capital One, however, is not allowing you to do that for over 2 years after this closes. So there would be a 2-year period where you would be required to be making these payments, and you wouldn't be able to either pay it off or fund it long-term with a different sort of funding vehicle. So there, and as you can see at the bottom, there's a little bit of difference of the legal fees that would just get rolled into the financing, and it's actually already included in those annual interest cost numbers that you see there. If you flip to page 4, just real quickly, I mean, as you can tell from what I've been saying here, Davenport would recommend that you move forward with M&T Bank mainly because of that flexibility that they provide. Their interest rates are now a little bit higher than Capital One's because the 2023A is the bigger portion of this. But again, the expectation is that this will not be held for 5 full years. And we want you to have the flexibility to be able to prepay this when either you have the revenues that you want to commit to this, or you want to fund it on a long-term basis. So that would be our recommendation. As you can see at the bottom, we've laid out sort of a timetable. Tonight, you all have the public hearing that I already mentioned. And then for the rest of October and into the beginning of November, we'll work with Jesse and town staff to make sure all the documents and numbers are completed. And we would expect to close on this around the week of November 6th. Now, one clarification I'd like to make is in the ordinance, as the mayor mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we would like to recommend adjusting the interest rates that are in that ordinance just to provide a little bit of buffer because we aren't going to be able to lock in the interest rates until tomorrow morning. We don't expect that the rates will go up drastically. We just don't want to have to push back this financing unnecessarily because we have to come back and get another approval from you all, if that makes sense. So just based on that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Jesse can also answer questions. And I don't know if we want to say what rates we would recommend putting in there now. I think based on the M&T rates that we have right now, we would recommend putting in a 5.35% for the 2023A and a 6.75% on the 2023B. Again, we don't expect the rates to be that high. We're just trying to, again, provide some flexibility in case we do see slightly higher rates tomorrow morning because rates did move a bit today, just with all that's going on in the Middle East and nationally. So anyone have any questions?
I want to say thank you for your thorough presentation. The couple things. One, these are the rates that you gave us as of today before you came here. So these are.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then two, we have to pass the resolution for you to be able to lock this in tomorrow, which is why we hadn't locked this in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so they require us to fill out a form that basically says the town is committing to closing on these loans. And we didn't feel comfortable doing that before you all took any action.
Okay. And any fees associated with this loan?
There will be some issuance costs that are already included in that annual figure that we're showing there. And they're also included in the total dollar amount that we requested from banks. In all honesty, that should come down a little bit. We were conservative on those estimates. And then the only other fee would be the $6,000 in legal fees on the bank side. Yes, so.
All right. Councilman Brown?
Thank you for the presentation. The 5,250,000. These are two separate notes, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that 5 million note would not be taken unless we use, so interest wouldn't start on that.
So these will be fully drawn at closing. The lenders right now aren't really allowing for you to draw down as needed. So it will be fully funded at closing. It would be put in to an account at the Virginia State Non-Arbitrage Program, and there you'll be earning interest on it. So that should offset any interest costs that you see. So it's not technically a drawdown, but you will be earning interest on any of those funds that you don't spend immediately.
So have we determined what interest that we would be getting and how much of that will be covering the actual note?
The difficulty there is that the interest that you'll be earning is variable. So it changes as the market changes. Right now, the interest rates are about 5.5% in Virginia SNAP. So they're higher than what you would be paying on that one, on the A's. So that would more than cover. I mean, there is some restrictions on how much you can earn, but it's typically the restriction is whatever you're paying is what you can earn. So it should offset almost dollar for dollar if you don't spend any of those funds.
And have we considered if necessary, to pull from our funds to pay the interest?
Yes.
Effect.
So we've talked with town staff about that, and we felt that it makes more sense right now for you all to borrow these funds as opposed to dipping into your fund balance. We don't want to deplete that fund balance too much because that's something that lenders look at is how much cash do you have to be able to go out and obtain funding like this. And again, that cash is stuff that you will use on a daily basis for payroll and everything else. So again, we don't want to dip too low in that, not that you're anywhere close to that, but we want to make sure that you have enough cash to be able to fund everything you are working on. And then this will cover these larger expenses until at least next year.
Well, to be perfectly clear, I don't want to dip in at all.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So we'll take action later on with public hearing. Oh, Ms. Pandek, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just one thing I think I need to correct, because the slide is not correct. The ordinance that you're going to consider is accurate, and that is that the one bond anticipation note is reimbursing the town. There's no settlement contingent on that note, and judgments have already been paid.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the first quarter budget versus actuals for fiscal year 2024. Stacey Jordan, our Chief Financial Officer. The floor is now yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Next slide, please. We're going to review the first quarter budget to actuals as of September 30th, 2023. The first sheet shows the revenues and expenditures by fund. We have our general fund, our grants fund, our streets fund, and our stormwater fund. And it also shows a change in fund balance. There are a couple of notes on the general fund. Our first major revenue due date is December. So as you can see, you have the current year to date at 1.1 and current year to date for expenditures at 3.4. 1.2 million of that is a litigation, is a lawsuit that had to be paid out, which will be reimbursed. Currently, right now, we're trending to about $700,000 a month in expenditures and about $800,000 a month in revenue. Leave our stuff back, so. Okay, next slide, please. This is a breakdown of the revenues that we have received thus far from general property taxes, other local taxes, permits, fees, license, of course, revenue from other government entities, fines and forfeitures, money and property, which is the municipal building, and miscellaneous revenue. Again, the larger due dates for the town of Dumfries is December, March, and June. So a lot of your revenues come in during the second half of the fiscal year. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown of the current year to date budgets that has been spent thus far by department. On the far right-hand side where it says on trend, the Y is yes, these are falling on trend within a 3-month time period. And the N would be no, it's not on trend. And then there's also explanation to the side that shows why it's not on trend. To address audit findings and adhere to providing transparency to the public, the Finance Department has created monthly and quarterly reports that are provided to Town Council as well as posted on the town's website. The fiscal year 23 ACFR is due to be completed by December 15th. RRC will be on site with us on November 13th. Any questions?
Vice Mayor.
Good evening, Ms. Jordan. Thank you for the information.
Yes, ma'am.
The question that I have is in the town manager department. I'm reading over here, no, not on trend. If I'm reading this correctly, the explanation is over on the side talks about workman's comp insurance payment, yada, yada, yada. So, help me understand that. And can you please make it
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
for the public?
Yes, absolutely. So the major reason as to why this is showing not on trend, at the beginning of the fiscal year, instead of paying a monthly insurance payment for workman's compensation insurance, we hit a whole lump sum. So it's looking like we're putting that money up front altogether instead of piecemealing it throughout the year, which is causing it to look off for the 3-month period. It's the same thing when canceling lobbying services, we paying a lump sum of money up front instead of usually the expense would occur every month. Right now, it's just being lumped in the very beginning. So as you go through to December, and then we do another one in March, and in June, you'll see everything even itself out.
Okay, so even though it's not on trend, by the end of the fiscal year, it will balance out.
Yes, ma'am, because everything is hitting right now instead of periodically throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Could the same be said for the other ones that are not on trend?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So for our debt service, our debt payments are October, February, and April. However, our debt payment is October 1st, which means it has to hit in September so we can get it put in on time. So that's why it looks like that one's off as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And then the non-departmental expense, we have the unanticipated litigation of 1.2, so that's what's causing that one to be over as well. But everything else is trending on track.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, thank you for
Thank
your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is the town manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. You have before you a copy of our town manager's report. Briefly, I'll highlight a few things. So I will highlight the fact that in our community concerns, we are scheduling paving of Castle Point Road, which will be on October 23rd through the 24th. We have several civic engagement events. I'll go through them rather briefly. We have our senior club meeting, which is on Friday, October 20th. We have our Pink and Purple Brunch, which is on Friday, October 27th at Clyde Washington Community and Recreation Center. We have our Fall Festival on October 28th at Garrison Park. We had event Movember Men in Blue, which was scheduled for November 1st at our Clyde Washington Community Center. We are going to revamp that particular event and possibly have it at a later date. Dumfries Christmas tree lighting event will be Friday, December 1st at Garrison Park. Dumfries Holiday Fair is scheduled for Saturday, December 2nd at Clyde Washington Community and Recreation Center. Dumfries Christmas Parade is scheduled for Saturday, December 9th, and the staff is considering a holiday movie night for Friday, December 15th. I also will highlight that our finance department has received our GFOA Distinguished Budget and Presentation Award. We got notified that at the beginning of last week, I'm sorry. The town has did several requests for proposal. Our classification compensation study, we have posted our intent to award, and we are waiting to execute the final contracts. The amount of that contract will be $35,500. The town has awarded our comprehensive plan review and update contract with Roadside Harwell Incorporated. The total amount of that contract is $119,990, and that project is estimated to be completed within 13 months. And our first kickoff meeting is scheduled in the beginning of November. We've issued an RFP for forensic auditing services. That was advertised on 11th of October, and the due date is November 13th. We are also advertising an RFP for architectural design services for the adaptive reuse of our rescue squad. And that was also advertised on October 11th and due on November 20th. Public Works is hosting our fitness court ribbon cutting on October 19th at Ginn Park. And they also hosting our fall cleanup on October 21st at our recreational center. Also, I'm pleased to announce that we do have water at Ginn Park and the fountain has been installed. It will officially be turned on tomorrow, but if y'all get a chance, we'll update y'all with a picture so y'all can see it, but I'm happy to say the fountain is there now. Thank you. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm here. She said,
Councilman Brown.
So no questions, just, yes, I'm sorry, it is a question.
yes, sir.
So the fire station, we've already, named it Clyde and Washington Junior Community Center.
Yes, sir.
Are we,
Not the recreational center?
yes,
Yes, sir.
so are we having a ceremony and a signing of the building? Are we gonna have a ceremony to,
To give a issue a plaque.
yes,
We can work on that, sir. Okay.
thank you.
Councilman Pete.
Correction, it is, well, for clarity,
Yes, sir.
this is the Clyde Washington Community and Recreational Center?
Yes, sir.
Community and Recreation, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Question, the contract.
Yes,
The
sir.
contracts that were awarded, are we now collecting data as far as the demographics and all of that so that we can keep track of how many minority women and how many?
Sir, at this time, we're not tracking that. I can do that for the future.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Councilman Pete.
I do want to add that I am very pleased that we do have water at the park. Council, thank you very much. Town manager and staff, thank you very much. As our children highly need that water at that park and that we delivered, I'm very pleased with that. Also, real quick question, town manager, with the water
Yes.
that's there, there's an on and off switch there. Went by there today. Do we have a lock for that?
No, we do not have a lock for that right now.
Okay.
If the council feels that we need it, we will put one on. But I thought it was to make sure that water is accessible to the public at any point.
Okay, no problem. I'll get with you on that later.
Okay.
All right, thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Fields.
I'm gonna go back one, if you would allow, town manager. Ms. Jordan, thank you for that very thorough report. One thing that we, the citizens, and especially the council, have been looking for is transparency. And what you displayed there and your explanation is very transparent. Same goes along with your report as well. So I appreciate the transparency to you both. Thank you. And I know the citizens are proud of that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that concludes our reports and presentations. With that, we'll take a quick 5-minute recess.
And then. I think so, because Mayor was the minor.
Joseph, you ready?
And then-
That's it. No, I see it.
She's verified. Like you verified those numbers?
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting back to order. And we'll move into our action items in our public hearing. Our first public hearing item is authorization for the insurance of sale of our general obligation bond anticipation notes. We have our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Stacy Jordan, come to the floor.
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. This is a public hearing to authorize the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds and anticipation notes for Series 2023.
Council, any questions about the obligation of the bonds? Okay. All right. All right, we're looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Yeah.
So move.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a public hearing. Excuse me. All right, any questions on the reports again? All right, seeing none, I will now officially open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, anyone signed up to speak on the financial bonds?
No, sir.
Okay, was anyone that came in that they get an opportunity to sign up to speak on the financial bonds? Okay, seeing none at this time, I will close the public hearing. All right, public hearing is closed. Council, any questions, discussion? Motions? Okay, Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment. We were actually at a conference last week for VML, and they mentioned in the spirit of transparency that when you don't hear from the council, that doesn't inspire confidence with the citizens. So I just wanted to just let the citizens know the reason that there's not a lot of conversation about it is because this has been a part of a long process. We just received the presentation on it, and it's pretty it's pretty short stream. So we don't have any conversation about it because we've already been well informed and we've done our due diligence. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, thank you. Now I welcome a motion.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we authorize the insurance and okay, we got to mention the rates in it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, recite it as it should be.
Yeah, so what you have, I think, in the original form was for the Series A bonds was 5.25%. And for the taxable bonds, it was 6.5 or 6.65. And so I think based on the presentation, the recommendation is for the A bonds, the not to exceed rate would be, so it'd be approving the resolution or the ordinance as presented with the change of the rate on the A bonds to 5.35% and the rate on the B bond to maximum of 6.75%.
Okay. That who made the initial? Is that so moved?
Yes, I think yes.
Okay. All right.
You need to redo it.
No, we'll move with those rates. And who's the second? Okay, Chair Pro Tem. All right, any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Councilman Pete? Okay, seeing none, I call for the question. Councilman Pete?
Yes.
Councilman Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Aye.
That's a yes for me. That motion carries.
Thank you.
7-0. All right, next on the agenda is a public hearing on conditional use applications submitted by Dumfries Purchaser LLC to permit a convenience store with gasoline sales with off-premise wine and beer sales, food service, and electric vehicle charging stations as accessory uses at 3600 Point Center Court. Director of Planning and Community Economic Development, Mr. Tabor, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Chair Pro Tem, and members of council. Can we go to the next slide, please? And one more. Okay, so a conditional use permit is required in accordance with the Town Code, Section 70-247B for convenience stores and for off-premises sales of beer and wine. The town code includes the following definition of convenience stores. Convenience store with or without gasoline sales, a retail establishment with less than 5,000 square feet in floor area, selling food products, beverages, and a limited selection of household items to customers who purchase only a few items, and possibly gasoline if pumps are provided. It does not include or offer any motor vehicle repair services. Next slide, please. So the parcel is 3.67 acres, bounded by Fraley Boulevard, Route 1, Possum Point Road, and Point Center Drive, as illustrated here. Currently, adjacent uses include industrial uses to the south and east, office use to the north, and commercial to the west. The parcel will be impacted by the Route 1 widening project, which will also impact current adjacent uses and the footprint of the parcel. Next slide. The property is currently includes a two-story office building totaling 49,000 square feet, constructed in 2004. The current structure would be demolished and replaced with the structures and facilities supporting the proposed use. Next slide. The zoning of the property is B1 General Business District, and the comprehensive plan future land use map designates the property as mixed use and open space. So with the conditional use permit, there are proposed conditions. The applicant shall file a site plan within 3 years of approval with this conditional use permit. Have up to 5 years from the date of final site plan approval to commence the proposed use. A condition would be regarding site development. The property shall be developed in conformance with the conditional use permit plan entitled Conditional Use Permit for Wawa, prepared by Bowler Engineer and dated June 23, 2023. Next slide, please. Use parameters would include use limitation. The use approved with this conditional use permit shall be limited to convenience store with gasoline sales and off-premises wine and beer sales with food service and electric vehicle charging stations as accessory uses. The uses permitted with this conditional use permit do not limit or restrict the by right uses otherwise allowed for the property. The hours of operation may be 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. Additional use parameters include cessation of use, and this would be if the vehicle fuel should cease for a period of more than a year, and a demolition plan would be required within 90 days of cessation, and it would include underground fuel storage tanks, fuel dispensers, pump islands, overhead canopy, air and water dispensers, and signage related to motor vehicle fuel sales. In the event that the uses are discontinued and the site is vacant, the applicant shall stabilize the site using erosion control measures acceptable to the town of Dumfries Environmental Services. Next slide. With regard to community design architecture, the design and building materials for the building, the fuel station canopy, and trash enclosure shall conform with the architectural elevations. Wawa U59FB-L Route RT1, prepared June 2023 by our HRA. And Wawa stacked 8 fuel canopy trash compound prepared by HFA, also dated June 23, 2023. Collectively, elevations. The elevations may be subject to modification approved by the town in connection with the site plan review. Conformance with the elevations shall be limited to the building design and materials and shall not create an obligation to provide the signage shown thereon. Landscaping shall be provided in conformance with the CUP plan. With regard to fire and rescue, emergency spill contingency notification prior to the final site plan approval, the applicant shall prepare and submit an emergency spill notification contingency plan and shall have the same approved by the Prince William County Fire Marshal and posted on the premises before the issuance of any occupancy permits. The applicant shall be responsible for notifying the Fire Marshal's office immediately in the event of a spill of any petroleum or chemical waste on the property. The applicant shall assume full responsibility for the costs incurred with a cleanup of such spills. Maintenance of the property, the applicant shall maintain the site and shall pick up trash, litter, and debris on a daily basis. Signage, all signage shall be in accordance with the zoning ordinance. With regard to transportation, access to the site shall be provided as shown on the CUP plan. Potential right-of-way dedication, if required by the Prince William Department of Transportation and or the Virginia Department of Transportation, the applicant shall engage in negotiations regarding the dedication of right-of-way associated with the Route 1 Fraley Boulevard widening project. The applicant shall also engage in related negotiations concerning any necessary temporary or permanent easements on the property associated with the Route 1 widening project. Water and public sewer connection, the property shall connect to public water and public sewer. During the October 16, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the conditional use permit. Staff also recommends approval of the conditional use permit CUP 23-02 to allow the use of a convenience store with gasoline sales, with off-premise wine and beer sales, food service, and electrical vehicle charging stations as accessory uses at 3600 Point Center Court, subject to the conditions in the attached Exhibit A. Thank you. And the applicant is also here and they have some additional information they would like to share. And I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. You mentioned by right use. Can you tell me what part of that is by right use?
So that particular clause relates primarily to the zoning and the zoning district, which is B1. And within the B1 zoning district in the ordinance, there's a list of uses that are permitted. So if the property owner would like to include some of those uses that are listed in the operations of their business, then they would be able to do so because they are zoned B1.
Okay, thank you.
And those are by right uses.
Thank you.
You said the applicant had something they wanted to add?
Yes. If that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Can we bring up the next presentation?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of Town Council. For the record, Brian Prater with Walsh Colucci, Lubelai and Walsh here on behalf of the applicant, which is Dumfries Purchaser LLC, and have a few slides that we'd like to go through if that's okay. Here with me tonight is Maddie Ford with Audeo Partners, who is the affiliate entity of the property owner, as well as some representatives of Wawa. And I'm actually going to turn it over to allow for Michael Varga with Wawa to say a few opening remarks about Wawa and their operation.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the time tonight. My name is Michael Varga. I'm the real estate engineer for the state of Virginia with Wawa. Basically, my role is to help our developer partners to come and go through the entitlement process, go through the site plan approval process, a permitting process, and then eventually work with our construction managers to build the store. So with that, just wanted to say that we're really happy to be here. We're excited to be part of this community, hopefully. And also here with me is our area manager, Nate Bates, who'd like to have a couple words as well.
Evening, Council. Mayor, good to see you again. I'm Nathan Bates. I'm the area manager for Wawa in the Northern Virginia area. Just want to say my role is pretty much fulfilling your lives every day. I will be basically handling all the operations in the stores. So if we were deemed possible enough to be able to grace our Dumfries area or grace your town, we'd be hiring 55 associates. Along with that, we'll be also bringing in management and supervisors. I don't have a team of people waiting in Sterling or Manassas or anywhere ready to come into certain places. I want to hire right here in Dumfries. I want to hire the people from here because they know the area. I was listening to Madam Town Manager and some of the events that you have coming up, some of the other things that you guys have set up for October, the cleanup events and things like that. I'm sitting here thinking, like, if we can get my store open by next October, how can we support these type of things? I know a lot of people think it's a donation, but for me, it's not donation, it's support. How do we support the town? How do we support the community? So that's what I'll be doing every day if we're blessed with joining your community. So thank you. And thank you both. And I will go through a few slides here. Does this work? Oh, there we go. So on the slide here is the property, which is outlined in blue. I believe you all are familiar where it's located within the town. It's along Route 1 as you're heading south, where it splits into Main Street and Fraley. Right there, highlighted in blue, it's across the street. The Rose is somewhat across the street, and it's right near the recently approved RS on Main project. And this aerial gives you a little better context of what exists on the site today. As staff mentioned, there's an existing 2-story office building that's a little less than 50,000 square feet. You will also notice that there are 2 existing entrances along Possum Point Road on the top of the screen, as well as an existing access point along Canal Road towards the bottom of the screen. So there are 3 existing access points today. You'll see the associated parking with the office building, as well as some of the green space, but not too much landscaping there today. And with the proposal, you'll see there's a decent amount of landscaping that Wawa intends to provide. And then this gives you the existing 2-story office building of which you are all familiar. It's hard to see on this slide. I was hoping it came through a little better. You can only see 2 signs on the building. One is Point Center, the name of the office building. The other is Centera. Centera has been the only tenant within this building for several years. That is a 12% occupancy rate for several years. So it has been almost entirely vacant for a long time. The applicant with their broker was marketing it for 6 months, also worked with the town retail consultant on trying to foster some good uses for this piece of property. The real only uses that they garnered any interest were churches and then some of these convenience stores, including Wawa. The applicant even had their broker reach out to several restaurants as well as grocers to see if there was any market interest. And unfortunately, there was not. And we believe Wawa presents a highest and best use of this piece of property. Another thing, given the low vacancy, the property owner has reached out to the town as well as police because there has been an increase of homelessness activity on the property due to some deactivation, we think, of the use and just not a vibrancy of the property. And then what you see on the screen here is the conditional use permit plan that is incorporated by reference by the CUP conditions that staff introduced to you earlier. Some of the things to highlight along the front towards Route 1 is 8 double-sided fuel pumps to provide the gasoline. You have the convenience store, the prototypical Wawa convenience store building there in the middle. You will see the 2 access points remaining along Possum Point, as well as the existing access along Canal. One of the things that the applicant is agreeing to do as part of this project is to work with VDOT in Prince William County as far as the Route 1 widening project and provide the necessary right-of-way as well as easements. Some of that will be canal. As you may know, that doesn't exist as right-of-way today, even though it's an existing road. So it will be dedicating Canal Road to give that to open for public use. Another thing with this proposal is there's landscaping proposed around the entire perimeter of the property. And additionally, about 41% of the plan you see on the screen is going to be green space with the proposal. Also, the parking provided is greatly exceeds the minimum requirements within the town. And then here are some of the elevations that were referenced in the conditions. So this is your prototypical Wawa store. You can see there's different building materials, different building colors. There's a lot of articulation within the building design, and really thinks that this would bring a high quality architectural product to this property and really be a good aesthetic in this location. So the walking through the top would be what faces Route 1. And that will be the main entrance to the store. On the bottom is the rear, which will be, there is parking on the rear of the building. So there will be a rear entrance point as well, but that will be the rear facing away from Route 1 in the middle. And then the two elevations on the bottom are the two sides facing either Possum Point or Canal Road. And then the last renderings are the canopy that would be along the frontage on Route 1. As well as the trash enclosure. One of the things to point out about these is there is brick. As I go back, one of the primary building materials on the building is brick. You will see on the columns of the canopy, there is brick, as well as around the base of the trash enclosure. That's really designed to have a architectural cohesiveness to the development. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor.
I am a resident of Possum Point, and one of the questions I was going to ask, so I'm happy that you presented before I asked my question. I had a concern about Possum Point is really a cul-de-sac neighborhood. It's one way in and one way out. So I was concerned about what that would look like for those of us back there as far as getting in and out of the neighborhood. Like if a tanker delivered gas and then hit that light right there, it could cycle 2 or 3 times before someone else could come through the light. The traffic could easily back up. So I'm very happy to hear that Canal Road will be accessible so that others who are maybe going north on Route 1 could simply come out that other way and not have to hit that light in order to go left. And so it would alleviate that, what I would assume would have ended up being a bottleneck and cause traffic for us. So I'm very happy to hear that you all have taken that into consideration. So hopefully that is a prelude to the community partners that you all will be, which segues me into what the gentleman was speaking about when you stood up there. And I appreciate what you said about supporting the neighborhood, because it is very important to me that as businesses move into Dumfries, that you all are community partners. And it is not just about donations. It is about showing up for the community. Donations are helpful to the nonprofits that thrive in our communities, but it's also about, volunteering and allowing, allowing your employees the opportunity to volunteer on the clock. You know what I mean? So that they aren't having to use maybe their, PTO time to volunteer and things like that. Because again, we do have a lot of nonprofits in the area and organizations that really could use some volunteers. So allowing your employees to volunteer is really helpful because we are a small community and volunteerism is very important here. So thank you for that in advance, and also hiring within the community. Being able to have jobs that are within walkable distances, especially of our most densely populated community, is very important. And so I welcome you all to the neighborhood.
Councilman Peak.
Thank you all for a great presentation. That was well put out there. I want to echo some of the Vice Mayor's words and your presentation, and wanting to hire our citizens. I am big on in-house building from within. As you know, talk around us, I'm big on building from within. And as we bring in these new developers and businesses, I do appreciate, you guys putting that on the plate of wanting to initiate that on your own without us even saying anything. That's very big to me, And again, I'm gonna echo Vice Mayor's words. Welcome to the community.
A couple questions that I didn't see on your renderings. Can you show me where your electric charging stations? I know we talked about it in the CUP as an accessory use, but I didn't see where. I don't know if you got a red pointer or something. You can show me where.
I can use the
and how many charge in the CUP. You talked about 16 gas pumps, but you didn't talk about how many. In the application, I didn't see how many electric charging stations. So I just want to make sure, there's no bait and switch on me because I don't see a number of electric charging stations written in that CUP.
So the EV logo and symbol is right there. So these are the parking spaces. There's about 12 here available. I know they are working on some of the potential detail with the potential provider of that electrical chargers, but that is the intent, is to provide the EVs there. It's shown on the plan, that plan performance. So the intent is to provide those EVs in that location, the number of locations.
You got to speak into the mic because I need this recorded. And then two, no, because it's not written in the CUP. So that's just because when I read through it, I see the gas pumps all in it, but I just don't see nothing about how many. I see it on this diagram, but it's just not it's not written inside the CUP. And I read it like twice and I was like, where are my electric charging stations?
Understood. And I believe in the conditions that were referenced, it is referenced in the uses for the property accessory uses. And then just to say some of what I just said, so it's into the microphone, on the kind of the bottom left portion of that plan, there is an EV logo, and that's adjacent to about 12 parking spaces. The applicant's intent is to provide some EV chargers in that location. There is not a final number of the amount of charging stations to be provided because they're working out some of those agreements with the EV charger provider.
All right. I just saw 16 gas pumps, but no thing. So, I mean, it was very specific on the gas pumps, but no thing. Ms. Pandak.
Yes,
Then I go my second.
Mr. Mayor, perhaps Mr. Prater or Mr. Tabor can refer you to the page in the application that shows the actual site plan that is conditioned. So what the document that's up there on the screen is what I understand is being actually a condition of the site plan. So, but they may be able to point you to the page number in the documents. I'm not immediately finding it.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Pandak. On Exhibit A, which is the conditions, you'll see the number one site development condition is the property shall be developed in accordance with this plan on the screen.
Okay.
And this plan shows the EV chargers. So during site plan, when your staff gets to look at it, they'll be asking where are the EV chargers if it's not shown on that site plan.
Second question on Canal Street, will you all be improving that road where it will have lines and is that a part of the conditions? I don't know, Mr. Taylor, like traffic improvements on that road so that to get out, because that road isn't to par for cars right now to be going.
That is not part of the current conditions. My understanding is that as part of the Route 1 widening, VDOT will be doing some work along Canal Road.
Okay. In the park, because that outline looked like some of that property was on yours as it was crossing over. So I just wanted to. Yeah, it looks like on yours.
And that's part of the conditions will be that the applicant is negotiating with VDOT Prince William County to dedicate that right of way for Canal Road so that it's under VDOT's purview.
Well, thank you. Other than that, I echo the sentiments of my council to bringing in 55 jobs, supporting the community. It's a major accomplishment. We're lighting up now. Councilman Fields.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I'm glad to see that this project is more than likely will be here. And I don't have to drive to Woodbridge now for the wonderful Wawa coffee.
Mr. Pete?
On the application for the conditional use permit, as I read, it states going through it, gas sales with off-premise winery and beer sales. Should that be wine?
It should be wine.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, seeing no more discussion, I will open up the public hearing to get the public's feedback on this. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up from the public to speak on this?
No, sir.
Did anyone come in late that didn't get an opportunity to speak on the okay, just Mr. Jerry? Just state your name and all of that for the record.
Hi, my name is Jurgen van Dijk. I'm actually the property owner right next to this. So we've been looking at this empty building for years. So for us, this would be an improvement. We have to have an event center in there. And I talked to all the tenants and they're looking forward to seeing something new there. We'll get more traffic. Also, will give us more visibility to Route 1, as long as they don't put too many trees there. But we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Just come state your name.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Kenrick Bartlett. I just bought a house on Possum Point Road, approximately about a year ago. I'm in full support of this. I think it would be great. I had some concerns, just like you did, about the in and out stuff and all the paving and everything that's going on Possum Point Road. I'm happy to hear that everyone put their heads together and try to figure out a way to make it very convenient for everyone. So I think it would be good. The community needs it itself, and I think it would be good for Dumfries itself also. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no other comments, I will now close the public hearing. I did get one email. I will state that for the record. Miss Eileen Thrall, who lives on Possum Point, was against this because of the traffic concerns. In reading the traffic report, I think that with the VDOT widening, and I see that in the traffic report, most of the traffic that is stated comes from the roads and all of the additional traffic that's coming from the roads. So I see that the projected by 2027 was roughly an additional, I think, 800 cars and 1,300 on the weekend by the time the Route 1 widen and the roads opens. So I did look at the traffic impact study, and I'm comfortable with the changes and the address. So, thank everybody for their feedback. Council, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're open to, we're looking for a motion to approve the CUP 2023-002 submitted by Dumfries Purchaser to prevent a convenience store with gas station with off-premises wine and beer sales, food services, and electric vehicle charging stations as accessory use at 3600 Point Center Court.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for the question. Councilman Pete?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Brown? Aye. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem?
Aye.
That's a yes for me. That motion carries 7-0. Welcome to the community, Wawa. All right, next on our agenda is a public hearing on the proposed text amendments to section 70-1, 70-14, and a new section relating to the sign regulations.
Had a quick note, we are sponsoring the seniors lunch on Friday, so we'll be there with free lunch for the Dumfries.
Thank you. Okay. So Wawa will be sponsoring the lunch for the seniors on this Friday at the community center here. Thank you for that. We'll see you Friday. All right. Next on the agenda is a public hearing on proposed zoning text amendments to section 70-1, 70-14, and a new section related to sign regulations in the B1 zoning district. All right. Mr. Tabor.
Sure. Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh, I guess I can change it. Let's see. Okay. On October 5th, 2023, the town council initiated zoning text amendments ZTA to chapter 70 of the town code and directed both staff and the planning commission to review the ZTA and provide recommendations. The ZTA includes amendments to chapter 70, sections 70-1 and 70-14. Back in 2022, the town council adopted an ordinance amending the town code regarding the definition and regulations for comprehensive sign plans. The amendments established new regulations and processes to provide the town with the basis for such sign regulations in a planned mixed-use development or district, PMUD. The new regulations allow for flexibility from the existing sign ordinance. Planning Commission and Town Council review through a conditional use permit process, streamlining the sign permit approval process for large developments. By following the same process as the conditional use process, Planning Commission and Town Council hold public hearings, and citizens, council members, and commissioners provide input and have an open dialogue with applicants regarding the following: the number of signs, the types of signs, the size of signs, the heights of signs, the location of signs, and the lighting of signs. The applicant is also required to submit a statement of justification setting forth how each sign addresses the following: assisting motorists, bicyclists, and/or pedestrians in finding a location without difficulty or confusion; clearly identifying places of business or communities while avoiding unnecessary redundancy; demonstrating compatibility with and be subordinate to the structures and land uses referenced by the signs; addressing light pollution impacts with dark sky friendly equipment and operations, and incorporating energy efficient measures where possible; providing a sufficient number of graphic messages or displays without creating competing demands for visual attention; and minimizing impacts of historic properties if applicable to the site. So the proposed code amendment adds to the current section 70-14 signs in the B1 district. And it adds 11A, applications for approval of comprehensive sign plans shall be made in accordance with the procedures for conditional use permit application as set forth in section 70-10, except that the issues for issues for consideration shall be set forth in section 70-14E11, which would be this new section. The fee shall be that of a category C conditional use permit application as outlined in the town's fee schedule. It also adds B, an application for a comprehensive sign plan shall include the following materials: a statement of justification addressing whether and how each sign proposed by the comprehensive sign plan would assist motorists, bicyclists, pedestrians in finding a location without difficulty; clearly identifying places of business or communities while avoiding unnecessary redundancy; demonstrate compatibility with and be subordinate to the structures and land uses they are referencing; addressing light pollution impacts with night sky friendly equipment and operations, incorporating energy efficient measures where possible, providing a sufficient number of graphic messages or displays without creating competing demands for visual attention, and minimizing impacts of historic properties if applicable. It adds C, approval to the comprehensive plan, comprehensive sign plans may be requested and shall be limited to addition of a sign category and or individual user not addressed, and revision to a sign category that was addressed in the approved comprehensive sign plan. During the October 16th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the text amendment, and staff also recommends that the Town Council adopts zoning text amendment 23-004 with attachment A. This amendment will enable staff to regulate comprehensive sign plans in the B1 district while allowing both the Planning Commission and Town Council to provide input on the proposed signage of a large development project. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Council, any questions on the staff report? Does that mean now we can have blinking red signs in a red light district? No, I'm just.
No, absolutely not.
I'm just. Yeah. Okay. All right. Seeing no question, I will open. Oh, okay, we got one question before I open the public hearing. Mr. Pete?
This is section 70-10, 70-14, correct?
Yes. Or 70, yes. -1 and 70-14.
Both.
Yes.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, I will open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, is there anybody signed up to speak on the sign ordinance?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone come in and get opportunities? No questions, just comments on the public hearing. Okay. Seeing none at this time, I will close the public hearing. Okay. All right, the public hearing is now closed. Council, any further discussion or motions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move we approve the zoning text amendment 70-1 and 70-14.
Second.
Okay. It's been properly moved and second. Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Peterson?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem?
Aye.
Councilman Pete?
Yes.
Councilman Fields?
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. That motion carries 7-0. 7-0. All right, next on our agenda is a public hearing on the ordinance adopting Town Code Chapter 70, zoning section 70-22, text amendment regarding temporary use. And I know you just handed me something, Mrs. King. Okay. I'll read a statement. This declaration is made with respect of those transactions in which a member of the council or staff, by virtue of law or by reason of their choice, the Virginia state and local government conflict of interest requires that I make a disclosure to be recorded in the town records in any case in which I am forbidden or choose not to participate. Therefore, I make the following disclosure. The transaction involved is the agenda item ordinance for Town Code 70-22 text amendment regarding temporary use. My personal interest affected by this transaction is the business at 3940 Axe Lane. I've been advised by the Virginia Conflict of Interest staff to disqualify myself from this matter. I understand that I have the same rights and responsibilities as any other Dumfries resident or business. I would not use my position in this transaction with respect to this transaction dated 10/17/2023, signed by me. So I will pass this over and you will run this public hearing.
All right, council. So we are moving to item D, public hearing on ordinance adopting Town Code Chapter 70 zoning section 70-22 text amendment regarding temporary use. Mr. Tabor, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So during the September 5th, 2023 meeting, the town council voted to refer proposed amendments to the town code, chapter 70 zoning, article 1, section 70-22, relating to temporary uses, roadside food vendors, to staff and the planning commission for review and to provide a recommendation regarding the proposed amendments. I guess as a little background, within the town code zoning section, there are types of uses that are defined and provided for. Permitted uses per zoning district, and those are uses that are permitted in each zoning district. There are conditional uses, and those uses are permitted with an approved conditional use permit. There are legal non-conforming uses, and those are continuing uses that were legal prior to the establishment of the town zoning code chapter, but do not conform to the current code. There are also accessory uses, and customarily they are incidental to and subordinate to the principal use on that same lot. Then there are also temporary uses, which are the uses, some of the uses that we're talking about this evening. So the proposed town code text amendments, again, pertain to temporary uses. And within the code currently, a temporary use is a use established for a fixed period of time with the intent to discontinue such use upon the expiration of such time. And that does not involve the construction or alteration of any permanent structure. The town council requested information about similar code regulations from other jurisdictions, and following is a chart that compares the proposed amendments with code language in Manassas, Alexandria, and Fairfax County. The other jurisdictions establish a maximum of 4 hours of operation per day, exclusive of setup and breakdown for temporary uses. And they also establish hours during which the use is permitted, generally between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. So within this chart, it references parking time period overnight. And the proposed amendment to the code is to remove overnight parking of the food vending units, and employee parking is prohibited. In Manassas, except as permitted, a food truck may only operate for a maximum of 4 hours, exclusive of setup and breakdown from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in any one day at any single property. The trucks and all accessory structures shall be removed each day. In Alexandria, vending may take place between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. A food truck may not vend for longer than 4 hours of continuous vending. In Fairfax County, food trucks may operate only for a maximum of 4 hours a day at any one location, including setup and breakdown, except as specified in their code. With regard to sign and item removal, the proposed language would remove signs from the section which states signs, trash, receptacles, debris, and any other indicia of the vending business are prohibited to remain overnight and shall be removed from the permitted sites or site each day. In Manassas, no permanent signage is permitted. In Alexandria, no sign shall be displayed except for a sign displaying a menu or signs that are imprinted on the exterior body of the licensed food truck. With regard to property owner approval, the proposed language would add a signed lease agreement or rental agreement or written approval of the owner of the property shall be obtained in advance of obtaining any permits under this section. A copy of this written approval must be in the possession of the vendor when operating, and it would removed pursuant to his or her roadside food vendor permit. Written approval of the owner is required in both Manassas and Alexandria. With regard to restrooms, the proposed language would remove the language, "No restrooms shall be provided for customers or the general public," and restrooms are not addressed in the other codes. As well, with regard to number of employees, the proposed language would remove "vendors are limited to no more than 5 employees," and that is not referenced in the other jurisdiction codes as well. And then with regard to permanent structures, the proposed language would remove "No permanent structures of any kind shall be allowed," and in Manassas, the trucks and all accessory structures shall be removed each day. Food trucks shall be prohibited from making an electrical connection to any pole or similar structure used for parking, lot lighting, or other utilities. Let's see. So with regard to times of operation, for temporary uses within the current town code, Town of Dumfries Code, with regard to roadside stands, they are not to exceed 30 consecutive days. With regard to carnivals, circuses, craft fairs, concerts, flea markets, car shows, meetings, religious activities not held on a church property, business catering events or catered events, and similar outdoor activities, they are not to exceed 14 days. Yard sales not to exceed 2 days, and temporary roadside vendors, which we're referencing tonight, are no more than 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The zoning text amendment number 1 with regard to overnight parking is not consistent with code language in other jurisdictions and would be more consistent with uses that are not temporary. With regard to the proposed amendment regarding signs, especially overnight, is not consistent with code language in other jurisdictions and would be more consistent with uses that are not temporary. With regard to the proposed amendment regarding a signed lease or rental agreement in lieu of written approval of the property owner, it's not consistent with code language in other jurisdictions and does not ensure that the property owner is aware of and approves of the temporary use. With regard to the proposed amendment regarding restrooms, it would be more consistent with uses that are not temporary. And if restrooms are permitted, they would definitely have to meet the requirements of applicable codes. With regard to the proposed amendment regarding employees, it could impact off-street parking capacity. And with regard to the proposed amendment regarding no permanent structures of any kind shall be allowed. It's not consistent with code language in other jurisdictions and would be more consistent with uses that are not temporary. So staff has reviewed the other local ordinances and its recommendations of denial with the acting town attorney. During their October 16, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously not to recommend approval of the zoning text amendments except the proposed amendment removing item 7, vendors not limited to no more, vendors are limited to no more than 5 employees. The concerns of staff are that the proposed amendments would be more consistent with uses that are not temporary, and they do not ensure that the permitted temporary use meets the definition of temporary uses in the code. Therefore, the proposed amendments are not recommended for approval with the exception of item 7, vendors are limited to no more than 5 employees. Thank you, and I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tabor, for that very comprehensive chart and very thorough report. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Tabor before we open it up to public hearing?
Yeah.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Tabor, for your thorough report.
Thank you.
So the main concern that I'm hearing or I'm reading is that is not a temporary use permit. Is that the main concern here?
Primarily consistent with the temporary use language in the zoning ordinance and in the town code, yes.
Are you aware how many mobile vendors do we have in town?
Mobile vendors,
Food vendors.
food vendors, I'm aware of one, and of course, with events, we do have vendors who temporary food vendors as well.
Okay, so this recommendation came from a council member. Did you speak with him about his intent or his do you understand what he was trying to do? Because what I'm getting here is a no, go, or go, and there's no options in there. So there's some things in there. When I read the proposal originally, I blindly said yes. And then after I went back and read, there's a lot of things that I would say no to. But there's a lot of things in here I would want to approve. And there was no discussion. I don't think that we had any discussion on what was the intent for this particular ordinance. I did a little research myself. And I did see Prince William County referencing, and they have some different things that are not consistent with what I've seen here.
Okay.
So there's some other options that we could probably if we had known before tonight, we could have worked some of those things out. And as of right now, again, what's at the table right now is either yes or no. And I was a proponent of some lessening some of the restrictions, not all. And we don't have an option now. And so if the issue is permanent use, I would, and I don't know if this is the right time, Ms. Prendick, to make a motion to pull back and take this outside of the temporary use and make it a permanent use, if that's an option. Because I don't know when that motion can come up. But that's if that's the concern.
Madam Vice Mayor, would you like me to respond to that?
Yes.
Okay. In order to accomplish what Councilman Brown is considering, there would have to be a new action. It was not advertised to make any particular temporary use a permanent use. So you would have to go back through the process.
Okay.
It may be that you would want staff to come back and give you some alternatives on that before initiating it, or you could just initiate it. I would suggest to some extent that there might be some options provided to the council in that regard, because calling something that's a temporary use now a permanent use has a lot of ramifications. So I think staff could use some guidance if that's the case, but that is outside of what the council can vote on tonight.
Well, my question is, are we talking about the community and a zoning ordinance that impacts the entire community? Because we're talking about a zoning ordinance that's in our, our charter,
or
Town code, yeah.
our town code?
Mhm.
Or are we talking about an individual and a conditional use permit or an actual permit? Because when you talk about making something permanent, what are we talking about making what permanent? Because right now, we're talking about temporary use and how temporary uses are defined. What I hear Councilman Brown talking about is making it permanent, making what? What is it? How are we defining it?
If I,
Which is it?
if I can finish my question.
Okay, I was asking Ms. Pandak because she's like making
Madam
it a
Vice-
separate action.
Yes, the concept of making, I was talking generically about this ordinance. If you wanted to make any uses that are currently shown as temporary uses, permanent ones, then you
All?
need to go through a new process.
I get that.
Okay. And to which I believe staff could use some direction from the council before the council just simply initiates that. Getting to some of your questions about what uses in the zoning ordinance would you choose to make permanent as opposed to them being temporary? Right now, the uses that are before the council relate to temporary roadside food vendors. And the issues that Mr. Tabor has been going through with council relate specifically to temporary roadside food vendors.
So I understand. I understand.
Yes, sir.
And I continue the questioning. Because I understand that.
Yes,
So-
you have to
okay.
answer Vice Mayor that
Can I-
question.
Okay. So, and the reason I'm really asking about the temporary and permanent, because that's the holdup right now from what I hear and what I've seen in your recommendation. That's based upon that. So the intent from, I believe, Councilman Fields was not to make it a permanent usage. That's not my intent also. But we do want some of the changes to lessen the restriction on the temporary use. And as we look at these other entities around the town, there's some inconsistencies already with our code. Because we made that choice here in the town because of the town. So your recommendation is received well. I understand what you're saying, but as a council, we make decisions for this town. And I would say we made some decisions that's not consistent with other jurisdictions. We've done that already here from this dais. So that should not be what we are keen on. I just wanted to get a reference of what everybody was doing. And I see a lot of inconsistency, even what you put up on the board. Did we have any citizens at the planning commission that came to speak on this?
No, no.
Okay, and there was no,
It was a public hearing and it was open and closed, but there were no comments were received outside of the public hearing.
so that goes back to what I've been saying all the time from this dais. We need citizens' involvement because this dais right here is making decisions on this town. And if the citizens are not aware or not engaged, they may want what we want and we don't know that. We're making decisions based upon what we believe is best interest of the town and what the town wants. And my whole concern right now is we're not having a lot of input from the citizens, and it's us making that decision without even input. And it affects one of our citizens that is very visible in the community. So I'm just looking, I'm still perplexed on the recommendation if it's only for temporary and we didn't get an alternative option back. And this is what you can do. And that may not be your responsibility, but if it came from the council, I would assume that there would be some question to the person who submitted the change to request, what is the intent for this? And I don't think that took place. And I yield back the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. Any other comments from the council? No? Okay, so my comments are that, thank you, Councilman Brown, for your comments. To your point about whether or not there were any comments from the public, you are absolutely right. As I continue to say, don't just complain, contribute. We open up public hearing, we have public meetings, we have public, the meeting last night was a public meeting. And it is the public's responsibility to show up and have their voices heard. We do not stand here in a communist setting. We have absolutely an open agenda for the public to provide their input. We are not making unilateral decisions. We are making decisions as a body. And we are offering an opportunity for the public to weigh in. If they do not weigh in, we have to work with what we have. And what we have is the opinion of the 7 of us who they elected to represent them. And what I've heard people say, as a matter of fact, when we were at VML this past weekend, there was a gentleman, it was a mayor, and he said that he has often asked people, well, I'm going to go there and I'm going to make these decisions. And, I need you to be there with me. And he said, a gentleman said to him very aggressively for that matter, I can't be there. That's why I elected you. That's why I elected you to be there to represent for me. And that's what we're doing. So the people who elected us to be here is because they trusted that we're going to make decisions based on what we perceive to be their best interest. And I don't take that lightly. So while I really do wish that people would show up and share their opinions, I also recognize that sometimes they don't show up because they trust that I'm going to be here and represent them to the best of my ability. And I don't take that lightly. So as much as I would like them to be here, I also appreciate that they trust me enough to not be here because they know that I'm going to make the best decision based on the tools that I have, the intelligence that I was born with, and the integrity that guides me. Councilwoman Miles, Pro Tem Miles.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And just adding to your point, yes, it would be great if we had more citizen involvement, but not only are we duly elected, the planning commissioners are citizens as well. They live in the town and they're involved and they're active. We actually, if the citizens had a problem with what we were doing, most of the times they would come out and let us know. Most of the time when you're not getting a lot of pushback, it's because there's not a lot of disgruntled behavior out there. So I think that we have to be careful with admonishing citizens for not coming out. They may not be coming out because they're happy with what's going on, or they see that their values are being reflected. And I hear your point in terms of not being given options, but I would say that I actually made the motion when this was initially presented because it was not clear. It was lacking substance. And I asked for additional information from the staff. If options were desired from the individual who presented, and this is not an attack on my colleague, if additional options were desired by my colleague or any of my other colleagues, at that time, we all had the option to ask for additional options. I made the motion the way I did because I wanted to make sure we were not being overly aggressive with our penalties. I wanted to make sure there was some consistency. And so that's what I asked for, just to give an explanation as to why I asked for it the way I did. So just wanted to give that transparency. And so with that, I yield back.
Thank you. If there are no more comments, I will open up the public hearing. All right, Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up to speak for the public hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Teresa Harris.
All right, thank you, Ms. Harris. You have, is it 3 minutes, ma'am?
All right, good afternoon. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hi, thank you, Vice Mayor and Council and everybody. I'm Teresa Harris. I'm twofold here, all right? So I don't have a slideshow, but I'm a member of the community. I actually live in Potomac Shores, right? So I'm here in the local area. Got here in 2020, 35 years in the military, and a lot of the people that's coming, this community is growing, right? And a lot of people that's coming here is like me, DOD, that have traveled the world, right? love food, love to eat, love to go out. Love this community, but we're in a food desert, right? There's nothing here. So when you come from, and I'm talking as a resident right quick, when you come from DC and you drive in that commute and you get in this area and you want to go out to eat, you got limited choices, right? So now you got to drive back in that traffic to go and get something decent. And I'm not saying that the quality of food necessarily in the restaurants that here are bad. There's no choices, right? So my second hat is I own a food truck, right? I retired 35 years from the Pentagon. I bought a food truck in 2021. I've been open for 3 years. I do a lot of festivals. I have a contract with the Washington Commanders, and I do a lot of business. But I'm tired, right? So I bought my food truck. It was stationed in Lorton. I bought it here, right? And I'm gonna be transparent. It's parked at Divines, right? Now I can park at the commuter lot right up the street. I can give VDOT $1,000 down that they're gonna give me back, and I can pay them $100 a month. And if you see, there's 2 trucks there that's permanently, right? They don't move. They're permanent. They bring their food there and they bring their food back. So it's just like a restaurant, right? What I'm telling you is that this community in this area is growing, and this is a food desert. So I think, Council, I want to ask you that what are we really doing? Shouldn't you be saying, let's provide a variety and give the consumers what they want? Because the tax dollars would stay here, Dumfries, if you bought it here. But when people get in their cars to go to DC or go somewhere else to eat, their tax dollars is going there. When I go to VDOT, if I move my truck tomorrow to the VDOT lot, right, they get my money. You could charge me. Let me open up where I'm at, right? And not only will I give Dumfries a percentage, because I already pay taxes. I pay 30% of my business go to taxes, right? I can pay Dumfries some taxes. And not only that, I would give Dumfries 10% whatever I make on your time. So my time is up, but I want y'all to slow down on this and do some research. And there is a lot of food truck owners in this area.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else signed up to speak?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if we don't have anyone else signed up to speak, do we have anyone else who's interested in speaking who may not have signed up? Yes. You can make your way to the podium.
I already introduced myself. I'm Jurgen van Dijk, and I'm a property owner next to where the Wawa is going to be. And I get a lot of people come to my place to look for as tenants. And the first thing you always hear is about the food in Dumfries, that there's no food, that they always have to go somewhere else. Food trucks are really the new thing. You know, you have people that set up, I've seen in DC where they set up 4 food trucks all together in a lot. And it brings out a lot of people to come into the town. So I think it's an area that is developing very fast. Gives a lot more choices. And there's something nice about being that it's not permanent, but that you have a place where you get different food trucks all the time. So I think it would be a great addition to Dumfries if we had something like that.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, everyone here. But today I want to bring shed some light. My name is Garland Stevenson. I'm the owner of New Orleans Style Snowballs. I was one of the first food trucks around here, which is 20 years ago when I pretty much opened up. And Dumfries has a lot of potential if there are like more food trucks that come in and bring the money into Dumfries, just like Prince William County. There is different ordinance or different rules in Prince William County. There's a fee that you have to pay to be zoned for a certain area. And that's how I did over in Prince William County. Dumfries, like I said, You know, you all want people to pass through, people don't want to pass through Dumfries, they want to come to Dumfries, whatever. What better way to do that than to offer varieties? Because like the other, my other colleague said about variety, there are no varieties around here at all, you know, so hopefully with the new ordinance, new rules or whatever, they allow more food vendors to actually come in and to be able to provide that variety for the town of Dumfries. But if you want to grow Dumfries, what better way to do it? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else interested in speaking who has not signed up? Yes, ma'am. Make your way to the podium.
Hall, and just wanted to make a comment. Mine was for the.
If you get to the microphone, everyone will hear you better.
I will.
Thank you.
Mine was for the 4-hour window.
Mhm.
I just wanted you guys to take a look at the logistics of how it's set up in those areas. If it's Alexandria, are they implementing that 4-hour window because of the parking on the streets, like in DC, the way things are parked and the way the setup is? So maybe calling and asking them what was their rationale behind the 4-hour window? Because I do think, as I was doing some research already about, you know, food trucks at parks here in Prince William County, certain things like that, they treat it kind of like an ice cream truck, only 90 minutes at a time. And there's really no real hard facts on how food trucks are ran in Prince William County. But in the other areas that you spoke to of Alexandria and Fairfax, they actually have a system that's set up already. And some of that has to do with business districts and the parking and certain things like that. And the amount of food trucks are in the area. So like if Meemaw's wants to come in, they can't give Meemaw's 8 hours when you have 10 other food trucks who want that opportunity also too. So some of that is just like rotating and lottery sort of reasons why they implement those plans in place. So I do ask that we get a little bit more details on why those plans were implemented and then make a decision from that point. But mine was the 4-hour window. I can kind of see in a bigger area, a larger area with a little bit more food trucks, why you would need to implement that. So that was just an area that, like, when you guys do sit down, you go back to the table again, take a look at that and kind of really look into why that was implemented. So,
Ma'am, could you state your name?
My name is Priscilla Hall.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you a resident here? Are you?
So I am Prince William County.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for the public record? Okay, if there's no one else interested in speaking for this public hearing, I will close the public hearing. All right, closing the public hearing. Okay. Council comments. Do we have any council comments in reference to the matter at hand? Pro Temp Miles.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. So I want to thank everyone for speaking. I definitely take everything that everyone is saying to heart, and I hear you. I do think at this time, we have to be very intentional about how we grow Dumfries. We have finally gotten to a point where we have invested in a director of economic development who's going to really be putting some work into how we grow economically. In a few minutes, we're going to be hearing about our strategic plan. We put a lot of time and work into it. And I think at that time, we've got to go with that. If we're not intentional about how we grow, there will be ramifications for that. And it's not necessarily how we want to go. I would just say, one of my colleagues mentioned earlier that it's one business that's going to be affected. I think that that business probably just needs to pursue another avenue, because to amend this zoning tax amendment is not just for one business. It would apply to all businesses. And to say that we need to open up that area and give carte blanche to any food truck, to any area in our main street, I don't know that that's what's best for economic development. So I think that one business probably just needs to work out another process. But the answer for me is not to amend the zoning tax amendment. So with that, I'll yield.
Thank you, Pro Tem Miles. Councilman Brown.
So I just want to make a statement about citizens. There's been 2 times that I've come to this chamber and this chamber was full of citizens. Those matters was to their heart. That's why they was here. The decisions that we are making right now, the town is not concerned with it. If they were concerned with it, they would be in here saying, yes, this is what we want. So yes, we are elected to make those decisions. However, it is not important to the town. This operation of this business has been here for 5, 6 years, same place. This Dias has been down there eating that food 5, 6 years. It wasn't the issue then. And now it's an issue for full transparency. The issue resides with whether we can move, we have to move this truck or not. That was the intent, leave the truck on the property. And that was not addressed. We're talking about temporary use. And that was the intent, I believe, that was submitted by Councilman Fields. Again, all the other changes in there, I was lapsing looking at it, I didn't look at it. But my original desire to approve this was the movement of a stand. And it's not a mobile food truck because it's not a truck. And we reference truck here in all of the presentation. It is a stand. It's not drivable. So in that particular stance, Prince Williams have different ordinance for stands. And I don't think we are applying that here in the town of Dumfries because we choose not to apply that. And that's my problem with the recommendation as being denied. And I'm not going to, Vice Mayor, I don't want to approve this as is written, but I think we still need to talk about this at a later date on how we can make this a little less on those food vendors.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes.
Okay, Pro Tem, well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I went already.
I don't know who had this.
Well, Pro Tem Miles has already spoken, so let's go ahead and let the rest of the diet speak, and then we'll go back around for a second time.
With the staff recommendation and with the recommendation from the Planning Commission, which I watched the meeting last night, I thank you for the work that you did put in bringing us the research that you brought back. As one proponent of it initially, and with your report, I do see things a little bit different. And I do agree that we need to take a better look at this in a different light. The only way to take a better look at this is not to move forward on it at this time. Therefore, everyone can put their heads together and come up with something better in the future.
So our comprehensive plan outlines a specific a vision for the development of Main Street. And that vision was shaped with the contributions of the council members, the staff, and our residents. And it's based on it, or it outlines what we want the future of Dumfries to look like. And the ordinance as it stands today is, it pretty much, it aligns with what we said we want Main Street to look like. And so if we vote against staff's recommendation, we are in essence voting against what we've also said we want Main Street to look like. We're voting against what we've also said that we have for a vision of what Main Street's going to look like. And we have a plan to have our comprehensive plan updated. And as it stands, with the update of our comprehensive plan, I know that that will once again take into consideration the dais, the council members, the staff. The public will also have an additional opportunity to weigh in. At that point, we'll take into consideration the economic impact that COVID-19 has had on us, the social impact that COVID-19 has had on us. And at that moment, things may change. It may change what our future will look like with Main Street. And at that point, if there is significant change and it warrants at that point a change to what our zoning ordinance looks like, at that point, I would be willing to reconsider what our zoning ordinance look like. But as it stands right now, I'm voting no on this because I'm voting with the staff agreement, because what we're not doing here is we are not saying we don't want food trucks in Dumfries. We're not saying that. And for everybody that got up and spoke today, what I heard is we want options, we want food in Dumfries. This is not a question of whether or not we want food trucks in Dumfries. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is managing how those food trucks are in Dumfries. We're not talking about, no, you cannot have a food truck in Dumfries. No, you cannot have variety in Dumfries. We're talking about how it's managed in Dumfries. There's a reason that VDOT is charging people to have food trucks in the lot at 234. What we have right now are food trucks parking on a residential property on Main Street. What we have right now is a tent, a permanent fixture on a private property that's a residential property on Main Street. And what we're talking about is whether or not what we're seeing is within the code of our current ordinance. That's what we're talking about. And what we're talking about is how do we rectify that? How do we stay within our code and ordinance as it's currently written? And so for me, I'm voting with what the staff's recommendation is, because what the staff's recommendation is, that's what our vision is, as we said it would be, for what Main Street's going to look like to make Dumfries a destination place. And when the ordinance needs to be changed to coincide with what our vision is, as that vision is fluid and it may change, I'm happy to revisit it and I'm happy to make those changes as appropriate at that time. But for me right now, I'm going with the staff's recommendation. Pro Tem, did you still have a comment?
Well, I mean.
Oh, Councilman Pete?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Tabor, can you give me clarity on the 4-hour maximum that's in other jurisdictions established for operations per day? Because I'm kind of lost on that, on the 4 hours of operation per day.
That is, those are the regulations and restrictions in those jurisdictions. In the current code of the town of Dumfries, a temporary food business can operate up to 12 hours, 6 days a week.
Okay, so that was just an example from.
That's what those other jurisdictions, how they regulate theirs. But that's not the case, yes, in our code.
Okay, so again, I definitely like what Vice Mayor said, and this is not get the food trucks out of town of Dumfries matter here. This is a let's get it right matter. I yield.
Any other comments from the dais? Pro Tem Miles, did you have something you want to say?
Well, yeah, I don't want to feel like an echo chamber. You summed that up pretty nicely. I just wanted to say, in case what I said was misconstrued, what I was intending to say is if, as Councilman Brown has said earlier, that the truck won't move. Well, if the truck won't move, maybe the correct process is not a temporary use permit. Maybe it needs a conditional use permit. Maybe it needs some kind of permanent use. Maybe for this particular business, the move is not to amend our zoning text amendment for temporary uses. Maybe we need to pursue, or the business owner needs to pursue some kind of permanent use and go that route. So I just wanted to clarify, because again, it's not about getting the food trucks out. It's not about not beating up on this business owner. It's about making sure we regulate things and everything is transparent, fair, and we're regulating how we are building up our Main Street stuff. Thank you.
All right, are there any other comments from the dais? All right. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
Yes, Vice Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we approve the planning commission's recommendation that we deny the changes with the exception of the number of employees.
It's been motioned. Do we have a second? I second it. Can I second it? I second it. Mhm. That was staff's recommendation. It's been motioned and second. Madam Clerk, call for the question, please.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Brown,
Nay.
Councilman Fields,
Clarification on the motion.
the motion is to accept staff's recommendation to deny
With exception.
with the exception of. the
Yes.
staff. Thank you. Chair Pro Tem Miles,
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson. Aye. Councilman Pete,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
that motion carries 5-1.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is the strategic planning presentation from Jane Dittmeyer. Oh, all right, we are going to take a 5-minute recess. Where's Steve?
I'll tell him.
Thank you.
Like them talking about.
I'm gonna call this meeting back to order. Our next action item deals with our strategic plan. It's the Town of Dumfries Strategic Planning Presentation. And for action, Ms. Jane Dittmeyer, our project consultant from the Virginia Institute of Government and the Weldon Cooper Public Service. There you go.
Vice Mayor, honorable members of council, town manager, town clerk, it's a pleasure to be with you. It was also a pleasure to sit through your meeting tonight and see how you operate governing as a team. In your packets, you have the entire copy of your strategic plan as drafted for you. You also have a copy of the presentation tonight. I've removed certain slides to err on the part of brevity, given that you have been working all day and now you're working for the people well into the evening. The purpose of my presentation tonight is to, number one, ask you to adopt this plan if you are so willing, so we can move on to the last step, which I'll talk about in a minute, but also to put into the public record the process that you followed, and to compliment you on the number of hours and energy you put into this process. So next slide, please. As you see up there, we have a planning process that is best practice for jurisdictions. The COVID epidemic really threw our jurisdictions here in Virginia and obviously throughout the country off their planning cycles. Many jurisdictions now are scrambling to get back on this cycle. On behalf of the Institute, but also my own personal perspective, you all are way ahead of the curve and you've done a marvelous job, first of all, identifying your priorities, then going into strategic planning. You're ready now to launch into the comp plan, which is driven in part by your strategic plan. And your annual and capital budget work will be greatly aided by what you have determined here to be your foresight for the town for the next 3 years. Next slide, please. So in February, these were your priorities. And that was through a number of exercises, group discussions. They came out as follows. I won't read those to you. They're on the next slide, please. So economic development, infrastructure, livability, public safety, and a well-managed government. Those are not in priority order. Each is important. Next slide, please. The process then to develop your strategic plan was to do thorough interviews, and that's with each of you and with the key staff. We reviewed all your relevant town plans, reports, and documents. We took the work from the February extended work session to develop your key priorities report. And then in August, we had another extended work session and began drafting your plan. That's number 6. Then we spent we scheduled a full 2 days here with the town manager and professional staff. We instead did a day that ended up being like 12-hour day instead of 2 days. And then we offered for any council member that was not able to meet and go through the plan thoroughly, virtual meetings. And we appreciate the time you spent on those. And so the last step will be the drafting of measurements and milestones. We've already thoroughly interviewed your staff and of course, spent a lot of time with your town manager. We'll talk about the measurements and milestones in a minute. Next slide, please. So the key priorities were re-examined at the August retreat. And what you determined was that your key priorities from February hadn't really shifted, but you wanted to add one. And so we combined the idea of economic development and infrastructure into one goal area. And then we added your civic engagement piece, which has become very important in your relationship with your citizens. So those became your key priorities that drove the goals for the strategic plan. Next slide, please. We had some great feedback on vision and mission. We took all of your ideas that were tested in August, and we developed a 3-sentence vision statement. This is what you envision for your town's future. It will go and live beyond the 3-year plan, but it's what you're shooting for. And because you would like something that was more succinct, that was easier, much more easy to, which is easier to memorize, we took it down to 1 sentence, and that was based on your feedback. So that's your vision statement. The next slide, please, is your mission statement. And that again was several sentences. And through your good feedback, we have reduced it down to 1 sentence, which is easier for not only marketing and speaking, but memorizing as well. Next slide, please. So the key priorities in the goal became your key priorities for the town became your 5 goal statements. And we wrote about public safety, well-managed government, economic development and infrastructure, civic engagement, and we added the affordability to livability. I have put the slides that go through the goal statements off in order to be briefer tonight. But if we can go to the next section, I will show you that what you have done now is gone from your priorities, a full agreement on priorities, to a strategic plan that has come out of your minds and your values, 5 goals, and then there were 5 to 6 objective statements for each goal. And under each objective, you have strategies. So that is fully fleshed out in that 6-page plan that you have before you tonight for consideration for adoption. The third step in the process is to develop and submit to your town manager her management tool, which is the measurements and milestones. We have already interviewed staff. We have those. So after you adopt this, then we will create that management tool and submit it as your last step in the strategic planning process. You don't need to adopt that. That is part of your view of how you're doing on your strategic plan. And your town manager will meet with you to share those things with you and give updates and reports on how the plan is going. Last slide, please. It is truly a pleasure to say that we believe that you have dedicated elected officials here, a motivated professional staff, and a very bright future. It has been a pleasure for our team, and particularly for me as your consultant, to work with you on the strategic plan. Mr. Mayor, that's the conclusion of my report. I'm happy if there is anything I can answer to do so, or you can begin your deliberation.
So what I'll do is I'll make a motion and then we'll have discussion.
Okay.
All right, motion to adopt the strategic plan.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and second. Now I will open it up for discussion. Councilman Pete, then I'll come back.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jane. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm pretty sure the council can say that also. We had fun on the retreat. We had fun in the rooms and even putting some of this together. But one of the things that I really like that's in here, kind of wraps up of some of the things we've been going through lately, is the vision statement, which reads, "We envision a vibrant Main Street community with active citizens and a well-managed government." I like the vision statement that we collectively put together. So again, I want to say thank you. And again, it's been a pleasure working with you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Chair Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to echo my colleague's sentiments. It was a pleasure working with you. We put in long hours between the original retreat and then the recap. We put in long hours, but you captured everyone's thoughts. When we met again virtually, I could see how, I remember I telling you, I feel seen. Everything that was important and everything that you captured everything. And we have a really well-written, well thought out tool and a plan that's going to be our vision guiding us so that we can have the Dumfries that we envision that's going to live up to that vision statement. So I just want to thank you for your work and your time. It's truly been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Councilman Fields.
Thank you. Echo, 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 and echo and echo. Thank you. I'm not even gonna repeat it, just echo and ditto. But could we have gotten here without you? And the answer is no. And so we thank you for that because you got us to this place and it's just words cannot describe. We're there.
Thank you.
Cool.
Councilwoman Peterson,
I say thank you too.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Okay, Vice Mayor. Nothing.
It's already been said.
I'll give you my statement I prepared for you. It brings me immense pride and satisfaction as we stand here to announce that we're going to adopt the strategic plan, a vision that has been shaped through countless hours of dedication, hard work by our town council, our staff, and the community members. Over the past few months, we've witnessed the commitment of our town council in action. The numerous work sessions, both on-site and off-site, extended work sessions, the meticulously dissected the challenges that we face, explored innovative solutions, and formulated this comprehensive guide to guide our community into the future. The tireless efforts have not only demonstrated the council's dedication to Dumfries, but also the unwavering commitment to the betterment of our town. I'd like to also take a moment to extend a heartfelt gratitude to our dedicated staff members who participated. We couldn't have done this without your help in this process. It was very instrumental. Your expertise, your unwavering support, and your tireless dedication have been invaluable to helping us bring this vision to life. It's through your hard work that we can transform all our ideas into reality. Furthermore, I want to acknowledge the exceptional work, as all of my colleagues have said, of Ms. Jane Dittmeyer, our project consultant from the Virginia Institute of Government. Jane, you have been a driving force behind our discussions, facilitating productive dialogues, and guiding us towards a clear vision and a mission. Your expertise, Jane, your patience, and your commitment to Dumfries has been instrumental in the success of this endeavor. Jane, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your invaluable contributions. So what's our vision? Councilman Pete, he stole the thunder, but we envision a vibrant Main Street community with active citizens and a well-managed government. That vision encapsulates our aspirations for a thriving, engaged, and an efficient town. Our mission, dear residents, it's to transform Dumfries into an inviting, diverse, and inclusive community for those who call it home and those who visit. We're committed to creating an environment where everyone, as Chair Pro Tem said, feels heard, feels welcome, a place where opportunities abound, a town that showcases the very best of what we can achieve when we come together. In closing, I'd like to express my gratitude to the entire Dumfries community for all the input, engagement, support throughout this process. Together, I believe we're going to turn this vision into a reality, and Dumfries will continue to be a place where we're all proud to call home. Remember, don't drive through Dumfries, drive to Dumfries. I had to read that. And with that said, I will call for the question. All right, Councilman Fields. We'll call it for the question. There's a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Councilman Pete.
It's a yes for me.
Chair Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. That motion carries unanimously. Congratulations on our strategic plan.
Thank you.
With that said, I think that we've exhausted the agenda. Our meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, Jane.